be. It never comes easily. When it does, I'm already gone. Hey guys, hey, Mr. Dorhauer here. Hey, so today we're going to talk about what we spoke about yesterday, but we're going to talk about mixed problem solving with integers. So we're going to focus on all the operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So we're going to see a little bit of those things here today. I'm going to go over a handful of problems that you will be working on in class. So here we go. I hope everyone's having a great day as I am transitioning over to my amazing document camera. Alright. Here we go, here we go, here we go. I'm sorry, I should have had all that set up. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is problem 4, because we already went over the other ones in class. So problem 4 is stated as such. It is a multiple operation, all these things. What we want to use is our order of operations. Now the way I do this, guys, is I write out what's called my grocery list. I write out PEMDAS, okay? And I go through these as a checklist to see if I need to use them. So number 1, do we have parentheses? Yes, we do. So we need to work out what is in the parentheses first. So the first thing I see is this, 48 eighths. What that means, guys, is when you have 48 over 8, that fraction bar, that means to divide. Okay, so we need to divide those. So ask yourself, how many times does 8 go into 48? Well, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. So it goes in there 6 times. So right below this parentheses, we're going to take that fraction away and we're going to replace it with a 6. Now the trick is you got to bring everything else down. So we're going to bring those parentheses, -3, the minus, and then the -4. Okay, so are we done with parentheses? Yes, we are. Check. Are there any exponents? No, there's not. So we're done with that step. Check. Okay. The next one says multiply and divide. Now guys, the trick is you have to multiply and divide from left to right. So if I start from the left and I go over here, I'm going to do whatever comes first, multiplication or division. The first thing that pops up is multiplication. So I'm going to do this first. Okay? So it says -3 times 6. Now yesterday I showed you guys this. And we use this for integers. So we know 3 times 6 is 18. So I'm going to put an 18 down there. Now, that is a negative times a positive. So what we do is we cover up a negative and we cover up a positive. So what's left? A negative. So that means our answer is negative. So now we have -18 minus -4. Are there any multiplication and division problems? No. So we're going to check that off. Our next step is add and subtract from left to right. So what we learned yesterday about subtracting integers, it's in your notes, guys. It's absolutely in your notes. But what we learned is our rule is keep, change, change. So if it helps you, I'm going to even write it here. Keep, change, change. That way it makes sure we do it. Okay? So what it is I'm sitting here busy switching pins just because I'm trying to bring some color into this. So we're going to keep the -18. We're going to change that subtraction into addition. And we're going to change this negative number into a positive number. So I told you the way my mind works. My mind works like this. I think of this as money. If I owe you $18 and I pay you back 4, how much do I still owe you? I still owe you 14. That is my answer. Now remember, one thing we spoke about in class yesterday was this. The one thing we spoke about in class was if I have, let me put it up here. If I have a negative 18 plus 4, if we're doing an addition problem and the signs are different, we can subtract, and we keep the sign from the larger overall number. The larger overall number between 18 and 4 is 18, so that sign in front of it is negative, so it'd be negative 14. Okay? Alright, so again, our answer there is negative 14. Okay, problem number 5. Same thing, guys. When I have crazy problems like this, I put down what I call my grocery list. PEMDAS, my order of operations. Does it have parentheses? Yes, it does. There's parentheses here, but there's also parentheses here. Now this guy needs to be worked out. That simply means 96 divided by 12. And it is a negative 12. So when we multiply and divide integers, remember we use this amazing thing. But we're not going to use it until we're done with our operation. So 96 divided by 12. You have to figure out how many times 12 goes into 96. Well, guys, if you just use your multiplication facts, you just count by 12. You have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, and then finally you have 96. So that comes out to 8. But you are not done. What is a positive times a negative? Well, if I have a positive and a negative, I'm going to cover up the positive and negative, and what's left? You see how I have that negative symbol left? So that means this turns into negative 8 minus negative 20. Alright, my next step is, since I am subtracting integers, I use my fantastic rule, keep, change, change. I'm going to keep the negative 8, negative 8. Let me fix that guy. I'm going to change my subtraction to addition and my negative 20 into a positive 20. Okay, same thing. We have two ways to look at this. You can do it the way that I just do it in my head, which is what works for me. Or you can do our rule. So what works for me is this. I say, hey, I owe you $8, but I just got paid 20 bucks. So after I pay you back, how much money do I owe you? Or how much money do I have? Excuse me. So I owe you 8 bucks. I just got paid 20 bucks. After I pay you back the money, that means I have $12 remaining. Okay? But one way you can do it, what we spoke about in our class yesterday and through our notes, is if our signs are different and we're adding integers, we just subtract. We take the big guy minus the small guy, and we get 12, and we take the sign of the overall largest number, like the absolute value. So we have an 8 and a 20. Which number is bigger? 20, and that is a positive. So that means our answer is a positive. So 12 is our answer for number 5. Okay guys, our next problem is problem 6. And what I did is I just rewrote it on another sheet of paper so I can actually write larger. It was a struggle trying to write so tiny and fit it on that worksheet. So problem number 6 is this. I already set it up. I put what I call my grocery list, and I'm going to go through everything. Alright, so first things first. I do have parentheses, but I have nothing to do inside of those parentheses. I have a negative 40. There's nothing to solve or figure out in there, and I have a 2. Nothing to do there. So I am done with my parentheses. Do I have exponents? No, I don't. So I'm done with that step. Now remember, I multiply and divide from left to right. Remember, when a number touches the parentheses, that means to multiply. So my first step is going to do this. Multiply and divide to left to right. 13 times 2, we all know it's 26. Now, since we're doing integers, remember, pay attention to our amazing triangle we talked about yesterday. So if I have a negative times a positive, my answer is going to be what? Negative. So I'm going to throw the negative sign down right there. I'm going to bring all this stuff down so I do not forget. Okay. So we're done with multiply and divide. I'm going to check that step off. Our last step is add and subtract. Now remember, in our notes yesterday we spoke about if we're adding integers and they are in fact different signs, well, we're going to subtract them. Well, these guys are the same signs. So what did we talk about yesterday? If they're the same signs, you just add those bad boys up. Alright? So we're just doing a normal addition problem. 40 plus 26 is what? 66. They're both negative, so guess what? Our answer is going to be negative. Again, I told you my mind's funky. The way it works is I think about money. So, hey, I owe you 26 bucks and I owe my buddy 40 bucks. Together, I owe you guys $66. All right, problem number 7. I rewrote it out in this amazing green color. Go Celtics. And I'm going to go ahead and go through it now. All right. So I wrote down my grocery list. Again, that's what I call it. We have parentheses. Of course, we have a ton of parentheses. There's negative 13, but there's nothing to be done there. We have a 2, a 7, and a negative 7. So we are done with our parentheses step. We have exponents. We do not have exponents, so we're done with that step. Now we are on multiply and divide. Remember, it's multiply and divide from left to right. Okay? Now, when I go over left to right, I do the first thing that comes up. So when I go over here, all these parentheses are touching. That means to multiply. You don't just multiply them all. You got to do it step by step. So we're going to do these first because they're touching first. 7 times 7, my friends, is 49. Now, remember, since we're multiplying integers, we use our triangle. We have a negative times a positive. So, guess what? Negative times a positive. Our answer is going to be negative. Okay, now I have that. I'm going to bring everything else down. So I'm going to bring down that parentheses plus negative 13. Now I keep going. I'm still in my multiply and divide step. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do negative 49 times 2. Some of you guys might be able to do that in your head. Some of you guys maybe not. Again, it's okay to work out on the side. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 4, 8, plus 1 is 9. So my answer is going to be 98. Again, a negative times a positive. Cover up those two things. Guys, it means my answer is going to be negative. It's right here. It's the only thing popping out. So now I have negative 98 plus negative 13. Final step. Do we have any more multiply and divide? No, we don't. So I check that thing off. So now I'm on add and subtract. So 98 plus negative 13. Excuse me, negative 98 plus negative 13. Remember, I owe my buddy 98 bucks and I owe you $13. How much do I owe you guys together? Since the signs are the same, we are just going to add those up. Okay. 8 plus 3 is 11. Put my 1, carry that. 9, 10, 11. And since they are both negatives, my final answer, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be negative 111.